Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Hello and welcome to this special broadcast. On this day in 2000, some couple of students, 14 to be exact, were shot by soldiers. They were protesting against the death of their colleague, who reportedly died in the hands of fire and rescue service agents in Berekama called Mr. Barry. And the students, while they were protesting, were shot by soldiers. And after that incident, the Gambia government that investigated the incident refused to issue the report. And then the soldiers who were reportedly involved in the killing were indemnified, meaning they cannot be sued, meaning there was an act brought in by the government to ensure that they are protected from any sort of legal liability arising from the illegal activity, which is the killing of the students. These couple of students here and some victims of this incident have come out today, and together with some civil society activists and human rights activists, to demand that the Gambia government ensure that there is justice for this quote-unquote heinous crime. And they also calling on government to repeal the Indemnity Act, but also to ensure that people who are suffering in terms of some who are having bullets in their body, and some who are wheelchair bound, and some who are using crutches to work, are actually giving some medical treatment. This is among their demands, and this march past started in 2017, immediately after a year after Jammeh lost power. Under his rule, this would have been unthinkable, so there had been some progresses, but the Gambia government is still not active, according to the victims, in addressing issues affecting them. For example, there was, they said, a commitment by the Turkish government to issue a free medical treatment for some of these victims, about a number of them to be taken to Turkey, but they couldn't have an air ticket. This was in 2017. Now, the Victim Center is also renewing efforts to ensure they are able to access these air tickets. Some individuals, businessmen, have pledged some support in the form of air tickets, but they still did not have the medical report that had been done on the conditions of these victims yet from the authorities. They're expecting to have that in the coming months or weeks, and by which time they would have purchased the air tickets for some of the people who are struggling with health complications from this incident to be treated in Turkey. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Mr. Jobate. What does this day signifies in Gambian politics? I mean, in Gambia's history?
Sadness, because April 2000 student massacre is for me, the most insidious, the most severe violation against Gambians, because this is the moment when Gambia's own duty bearers, people appointed, elected by Gambians to serve Gambians, to protect the rights of Gambians, and empower them with resources like, our security forces give them guns to protect us, turn those guns on the people, and not just on the people, but on children, who are the future, who are the very basis of our society, and then massacre them like that. So for me, April 2000 is the most vicious, the most severe violation of Gambians, and now to wait until almost 2 decades now, and still there's no justice, by that regime and in the new government, which is 2 years old, and yet still you have victims, surviving victims continue to suffer. For me, it's an indictment, beyond proportions, honestly. So this is a very sad day, and a day really of rage for me, that we have to come here once again every year to do a march past like this, to do a symposium, to make demands, to write statements, and yet the Gambia government refuses to do justice.
But what does that constitute by saying the Gambia government refused to do justice? I mean, do you mean they've not had treatment as they've demanded, or do you mean judicial justice, putting people in jail for this crime?
Yeah, but all of that and more. The Jammeh regime committed this crime, and so we know, therefore, they are not going to do justice because they created the injustice in the first place. Now, this government that has come for 2 years, one, they could have immediately repealed the Indemnity Act. That bad law that protected the perpetrators of this, crime. So they refused to do that for 2 years. They could have provided medical support to victims who are in bed, who are on wheelchairs, who are on crutches. They refuse to do that. They refuse to provide economic support to these victims, some whose education's damaged since 2000. So they've been living a life of poverty, of destitution for 2 decades. And so they need some reparation, immediate action to uplift their conditions a little bit. They refuse to do that. They refuse to also release the April 2000 Commission of Inquiry report. This government has refused to take ownership of it and then release that report so that Gambians know officially this report has now been released. They've refused to do that. Since 2017, we've been organizing these marches and issuing statements, making demands to the Gambia government on all of these things and many more, and they refuse to do that. For example, security sector reform is one of the things they need to do. So they refuse to do that to the point that now, 18 years after 2000, we see the same paramilitary forces shoot Gambians in Faraba, just as they did 2000 here. That is because this government is not committed to justice, it's not committed to the protection of the rights of Gambians. That is why it has refused to do the necessary security sector reform, but to maintain the same armed police that continuously, since 2000 to date, anytime Gambians assemble, they would come to use their boots and guns and sticks to beat Gambians. In Faraba, it happened in Gunjur, in Tanene, in Katong, and in many places. So for me, it's tragic. It's a tragedy.
So, tell us about the demands as in connection to the security sector reform. I mean, we've seen, we've had, there were people who were involved in this massacre, even though probably no court has ever had a case of this, a case relating to this, but there are suspicions of who was involved and who called the shots. But these people are still serving in the security forces. I mean, are there demands too that Gambia government looks into this kind of issues and probably take these people out?
Yeah, we had a dictatorship, and in that dictatorship, it was carried on and carried by individuals in the civil sector and in the security sector. All right, and this government, which is composed of political parties that have been fighting for democracy over the past 20 years, like all governments, we know who are responsible for the maintenance of that dictatorship in the public sector and in the security sector. So that even if before we go to court, one would expect that when this government takes over, there are a certain category of public officers, security officers by rank, by their positions, you know, and by their participation, are not individuals that a new government that is supposed to be democratic, that has removed a dictatorship, will bring back those individuals or maintain them, you know, because clearly, when you do that, it means you are entrenching impunity. You know, it means you are ignoring justice. It means you are wiping out evidence. You are creating an environment for a cover-up. You are creating an environment for a lack of system change. Because those individuals are not going to change the system, simply because they were perpetrators, they were beneficiaries of that system, and so they are not going to change it in any way that is going to make them accountable. So, therefore, this government, like any government in its position, two important things that you need to do immediately, thoroughly, comprehensively, is civil service reform and security sector reform. Because dictatorship was perpetrated by the civil service and the security sector. So these two are the engines that run the state, the security sector and the civil service. So if you have individuals in that civil service, in that security sector, who were perpetrators, who are beneficiaries of the system, clearly you need to make changes.
Finally, I mean, since the Gambia government is seen to not be acting, as you've said right there, couldn't it be possible that people who are victims of state repression, like them, the victims of April 10 and 11, take the government to court and sort of force them to do something?
Yes, certainly. But, you know, that also is a problem because there is already an act called the Indemnity Act that protects, you know, all of those perpetrators of April 2000 because the government created that. So it's so insulting, it is so, you know, annoying, frustrating that you would have a government come like this and they still leave the Indemnity Act in peace. They don't go there and repeal that, you know, obnoxious bad law and tear its pages into pieces. So clearly, the victims and any other person would find it difficult to take this matter to court because already there is protection. So the only way to do this is to, first of all, remove the Indemnity Act, you know, but they've refused to do that.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Kerr, thank you for this opportunity. 90 years today, Gambian students were shot, and some of them victims who are now currently working under an institution that you and others have come to establish. I mean, what does this day mean to you?
Well, it is quite symbolic in a sense that not just the Victim Center is commemorating this day. You may recall back in 2017, that was the first time the April 10/11 was commemorated all over, you know, the country. But this time around, we have partners. The TRRC came in. I mean, basically, they take the lead role. I mean, with Tango also is on board. Foot Marathon also, they are on board. And many other organizations and civil society organizations. So it is quite symbolic that we want to reflect on the on what has happened April 10, 11, 2000, when 14, young men were gunned down. Without no reason, without no justification, they were brutally murdered. By members of the security forces, and still, no justice, has been delivered. So you have most of these victims also. They have serious medical issues. You can see, Yusuf Mbaye, he is wheelchair bound. You have seen a couple of them also, Seni Senghor, Abdul Karim Jame, they are all working on crutches. And Umijan also, she's still having a bullet in her body. And many other victims are from Bikamaba, Bansang, that were being affected by the unfortunate the incident that occurred April 10, 11, 2000. So it is quite important that today is providing the platform where we can articulate their concerns, to further engage the authorities, so that they can provide closure to these victims, and also provide the urgent remedies, to address the urgent remedies, to provide them with medical assistance. As you can see, some of them are in their need for medical attention.
I have been informed that they have seen a medical board. I'm not sure what came out of it, but I don't know if there had been, from your own perspective, a manifest commitment on the side of the government to treat these people.
Well, so far so good. The TRRC has established a medical board in consultation with the Ministry of Health. The 4 of these victims have undergone, the April 10, 11 victims have undergone medical tests. They have gone medical examination. We are still waiting for the medical report. So that we can facilitate, the modalities, that we are working on with the Turkish embassy. As you may recall, the Turkish embassy pledged 9, medical assistance to 9 of these victims. But we are unfortunate that we could not take advantage of that offer that was in 2018. Because we were supposed to provide airfares to get them to Turkey. So we reached out to institutions like many other institutions, but fortunately, Port Authority pledged, in fact, they have donated, the 4 air tickets at the tune of 279,000. That is already, funds are already with the Victim Center. So we are now working with the Ministry of Health to obtain their medical results, so that we can work it out with the Turkish embassy to facilitate the medical treatment in Turkey.
They've already pledged that they're going to be treated in Turkish hospitals.
Well, yeah, Turkish embassy, they've already pledged that they are still interested in supporting the April 10, 11 victims, to have further medical treatment in Turkey.
But at no cost to them?
At no cost to them, they will provide medical treatment. So we will be providing them the air tickets. Yeah. So we already have the 4 air tickets, and we have a good news also from the Unique Solution. Papa Njai, a very good brother, Papa Yusuf Njai, he also pledged an air ticket. For one of these April 10, 11 victims. Through Papa Njai also, he lobbied for another 3 air tickets with the Trust Bank. So we are supposed to do the follow up. We're supposed to be following up with them so that we can get access to those funds. Yeah.
So when might this be a success? When would it likely materialize? When these people would leave for Turkey?
Now it all depends with the medical board to release the medical report. As soon as we get the medical report, we will start working with the Turkish embassy to facilitate their medical treatment.
So, so far what you have mentioned are just individual efforts. Of course, the government may have been involved in the establishment of the medical board through the health ministry, but are there any other things that they are doing? For instance, the judicial justice aspect of it. There are people who are said to have killed these students and they're still in the system, or perhaps even not in the system, but they're within the country. The judicial justice aspect of it. Do you reach out to government?
That is a great concern, even to the Victim Center and the Gambians in particular, as you might have seen the proceedings of the Truth Commission. A lot of these, the informations have been revealed on the various, form of violations that have been perpetrated during the course of the Jame era. You might find some of these, the perpetrators, they are still in the system. So institutional reform has been quite methodical, as it's supposed to be. So I think we expect the government, at least to suspend some of these perpetrators that have been named in the Truth Commission and they are still working in the government. Like you have had, I will just have to mention people like Alaji Martin, you have Babukar Ba and Lamin Koli and many others. They are still in the system. So I think they have to be suspended. Because we respect the due process of law. There has to be in place, but at least their names have been revealed, and people don't find it very comfortable, to have them still working in the government. So as far as the justice is concerned, it is quite very sluggish. We expect the government to act very, very swiftly on that. Yeah.
The one aspect perhaps is also the Indemnity Act. A law, that set of law that was put in place to indemnify crimes that were committed. On this day, 19 years ago. There being a time when you engage the government for the sake of justice for these victims to ensure that that act is repealed.
Well, I think the indemnity, the act should be repealed, by the National Assembly. It doesn't have any room in any decent constitution. It has to be repealed. We want to see that side of the government action, to be in place, and we also, because there's already a commission of inquiry report on the April 10/11 victim as far as they are concerned. So I think we just need the government to act on the recommendations of that commission. So that is what we would have been expecting the government to do right now, because I'm sure the Truth Commission is doing a great job. You may not have known, but they are spending a lot of resources, to see that the commission and the process of the commission work very smoothly, because you can see all these witnesses that are coming to the commission. They have been given, the DACs by the TRRC, even transport allowances. They have been given transport allowances to facilitate them to come and give testimonies. But we expect the government, to take the bull by the horn and repeal some of these bad laws that are in the Constitution.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yusufan Bai, for this opportunity. It's 19 years today since the student protest started. What happened on that day? Could you tell us this story? What happened on that day?
Thank you very much. That day, it was a very sad day. It was a very sad day, which we cannot able to forget for the rest of our life, because our life was changed on that day. We wake up early in the morning, put on our uniforms, went to school, because we were on assessment test on that day. So the students came to the school and they take us out, because all the government students were on the protest. So we get out from the school. So with my schoolmate, with my classroom, Pipeline Comprehensive, now that is gym. So on my way going home, with my fellow friends. So we came up to post office and we find the Greater Banjul schools were gathering there. So from there, we gathered together, and then we started moving towards Westfield, going towards Westfield. So we went to Westfield, and we find more students who were standing there. And then from there, we came back to post office. And then we returned back to Westfield. That's where we met with Babu Karjata. So we started moving with him. And he was having conversation with the GAMSU executive who organized the student protest. So we went up to PIU unit, PIU near Iceman. So we stand there, and then the paramilitaries came from the PIU unit, and some soldiers from I cannot remember where they were from. So we stand there, and with the student we are surrounding Babu Karjata, and we were talking to him. So from there, as we talking to him, the paramilitary came and they started shooting against us, shooting put on us. So on my way, we're running on the run. So they shot me at my back. At my back, just near my spinal cord. So I wake up and I find myself being hospitalized.
You found yourself
being hospitalized at RVTH.
So from there you became unconscious. You saw yourself.
Yeah. I become unconscious and I wake up and I find myself being hospitalized. I asked them what happened. They told me you have been shot. I told them that I didn't do anything wrong. So how comes? So when I started to lift my limbs, I realized that nothing cannot move. From my hands down, all my limbs were paralyzed. So I became paralyzed on that day.
How do you feel? I mean, how did you feel? I mean, from that day, you knew your life was changed forever.
It's so terrible, because I cannot imagine as a student before being so active, going to school, doing so many things, so many activities, and then you just wake up one day, went to school on your feet, and then after all, within 24 hours, you find yourself being disabled again, So my life was changed, and it hurts me a lot.
But it must also have been shocking. I mean, when you are informed, perhaps you could not walk. Who broke that news to you?
No, when I wake up, I find myself being hospitalized, and I cannot even talk on the day. On the first day I wake up from coma, I cannot even talk, because I wake up and when I open up my eyes, I find my family members standing near my bed and somewhere crying, and oh God.
So, but who broke the news to you that your spinal cord has been touched by the bullet, and that means you cannot walk again?
The doctor told me, and then my family and my dad too, my late dad, he told me that you have been shot, so that's why you cannot live. Your limbs cannot move anymore.
And did you tell him anything at that point?
No, I didn't tell him anything. What I told him, I will be fine. Everything will be fine, inshallah.
So you were courageous even at that time?
Yeah, till that time. Since then until now.
So, I mean, tell us, how has that changed your life? What were the things you were doing before that? Were you able to complete the school?
No, I didn't complete my school. That's where my schooling stopped. I stopped at grade 10. I only do first term and second term. That's where my schooling stopped. And I was a brave man. And I was studying to be a lawyer. And I was a sportman by then. I was playing football. I was an athlete. I was doing so many things.
Do you still hold ambitions to become a lawyer?
Oh yes. It's one of my targets, and I always dream of being a lawyer. And inshallah, I will.
So tell us, I mean, 19 years on, you have no idea who shot you.
No.
And you have no idea when people who shot you will be brought to book. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel bad, because since day one we were always yearning for. We want to know the truth. We want to know who shot us and who gave the order. Yeah, since day one that's what we're yearning for.
Now, some couple of years ago, the Gambia government that is responsible for what happened to you had indemnified. In other words, said people who shot you cannot be touched. How did you indemnify them? Like to say they cannot be prosecuted. I mean, how did you receive that news? I'm sure somebody must have told you when that happened.
No. I didn't have told.
We are not told at that time.
I was told at that time.
But you still do know that there is a law now that protects those people who shot you people.
Yes, I know that. And we make our demands since 2017 to the Minister of Justice that those indemnity act which is still in the constitution should be changed. and we have not been responded still now. So and we are still stick to it that those indemnified should be changed, should be removed. Gambia, we don't know that. Gambia is a peaceful country, so we don't need that in our constitution.
What are your demands to the government? What were some of the things you made to the government and still makes to the government?
We make so many demands. First, our medical treatment, and we need a better life. Also, and we want justice.
So, have there been? Do you still have medical complications like suffering because of?
Yes. I still have something because I still have pain. And there are some medical issues which I cannot be disclosed. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, have you? I understood the TRRC has helped you through the Justice Ministry to establish a medical board,
yes,
and there were tickets available to go to Turkey, even though with the victim center, even though.
That was according to the Turkish statement. That was in 2016. 2016. That was the year the Turkish ambassador offered us free treatment to Turkey, and we were only looking for air tickets.
But I've been told that offer is still on the table.
I cannot tell. I cannot tell. No, I cannot tell whether the offer is still there or not. I cannot tell too much.
So, but you've done the medical test?
Yes, I've done the medical test, and all the recommendations have been done. So we are just waiting for them. That's what we are.
Report.
Yeah, the medical report have been done, and we are waiting for them to decide.
All right. So, about your demands for justice. Are there any plans, or have anybody, a civil society organization, reached out to you to say they would organize a case for you to take the government to court?
No.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. Could you first introduce yourself to us?
Well, we are here to reflect and to recall of what had gone wrong in the last 19 years. Yeah?
So who are you?
My name is Abdullah Bojang, a father to a victim called Lamin A. Bojang.
What happened to him on this day 19 years ago?
Well, he joined the students on demonstration, and unfortunately he was killed. He was shot and killed.
How did you learn about his death, and what happened to you at the time?
Well, I feel too bad. I went on a trek to Basse on the Standard Bank contract. You know, this was on so I went on Sunday. I came back on Monday at 10 o'clock. I found out that my son was involved in demonstration, which was his right to do so as a student. And I went to the RVA to find out what went wrong, but they wouldn't allow me to see my child on that day. So I had to come back the following day. That was on Tuesday, when I had a meeting with the doctors and the nurses who broke the news to me that my child was among the dead students.
And were their bodies given to you?
It went for a day or 2 or 3 before we can be able to get the dead body from the mortuary.
And how was that like for the family?
Well, he was my first son. He died when he was at 18 years, 6 months. He is a very intelligent child, and he would have been a good human resources for us had it been that he survived up till now.
Did he have career ambitions? Has he ever shared with you what he wanted to be?
Somebody, I think one of his classmates who traveled, someone was telling me that he was aspiring to be a flight pilot.
Flight pilot?
Flight pilot, yeah. He's very good. He was, all his exams is between first and third. Yeah, he never dropped down below that.
What field was he studying at Nusrat?
He was a commerce student. Commerce student. And all his results were very good. Yeah.
So, have you ever, within the victim center or within a committee of victims of April 10 and 11, have you ever made a case to the government demanding certain things? And if so, what were they? Well,
actually, prior to that, well, there were coroner's inquests, 1, 2 commission of inquiries. Then the third thing was when the dictator moves after 22 years, we had to form a victim center, about 4, 5, 6 of us, and eventually it went up to a time that most of Jammeh's atrocity victims joined on board. And but then, yeah, we got the demand for government. We need justice. We need to know who ordered the shooting, because demonstrations, if it was not denied, if it is organized, was not denied, one can allow kids to demonstrate peacefully without any interruption. But if you interrupt or denying the kids to emphasize their rights, it's always a problem. And that's the burden that the government has on their head, you know. So
19 years on, your child was shot, you didn't know who.
Yeah.
No one is jailed for it. And those who have also been shot and still alive are struggling with challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make you feel?
It's a big failure on the side of government. Now, victims are victims. Even Adam Barrow himself is a victim, because they deny him not to swear here. He had sworn back to Senegal. And now, I think he has to realize our calls. Actually, we need justice so that there can be any... Thank God there is TRRC on. Things are moving, but a little bit slowly, actually. With our case, already it had been concluded. It was the head of state who brought an idea that he has indemnified the soldiers who are held responsible of these acts. That's it.
So all that you need the government to do is to repeal the Indemnity Act.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that has to be lifted. That has to be lifted so that people can be able to emphasize whatever demands they have. For such a case, demonstration is a simple thing. You know, if it goes with violence, that's the other thing, and nobody is eager to be doing demonstration with violence. Peaceful demonstration has to have an answer. People, students, or everybody has a right to demonstrate so that the government of the day can be able to get their attention and fix the stuff. That's it.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm so grateful. Thank you.
For this opportunity. I mean, what's your name and what's the work you do?
I'm Mustafa Ka. I should say Mustafa Keda, but I'd stick with the Mustafa Ka. I'm the commissioner, youth commissioner at the TRRC, representing the commission here in this activity.
Thank you very much. You are one of the people who are, by virtue of your position, investigating the past crimes of the former president, Yahya Jammeh. And one of the issues that would perhaps come before you will be the April 10 and 11, and you are out here. Why are you here?
Well, you know, firstly, I know the TRC is victim-centered. I have to make that clear, because whatever we do, we take into consideration the concerns of the victims. And I know some people will say that as a commissioner, I shouldn't be here, but I should be here. I should be here because I am first and foremost a young person. And secondly, it's a commission. As I said, the commission is victim-centered. It's not a court of law, of course. But the reason I am here is particularly because this affects my constituency, the people that I represent. And it could have been me, it could have been you, it could have been anybody. Because I remember when this April 10th was happening, I was a student, a very young student though. But it happened, and luckily my dad had I didn't even know what was happening, but my dad came and picked me and picked my younger brother. And I think it was the same for everyone. But in terms of what has happened on that day, it's horrific, it's horrendous. People got killed simply for going out to speak their minds, to demonstrate on issues that affect them, which are actually constitutionally guaranteed. It's the constitution of the Gambia that says people have a right to free speech, to assembly, to protest. But unfortunately, the demonstration of the students was met with brute force. A lot of students passed away, lost their lives. My belief is they took the blood for me and you and all other young people. So we have to be here to also identify with the day, because it affects us, it affects every other young person. And here I want to thank the chairperson of the commission, because today we should have a hearing, but I'm given the permission to come and witness this. But also as part of the Never Again campaign of the commission. The commission has what we call the Never Again campaign. The idea is that all the horrific things, the dictatorship, should not happen again in the Gambia. So this falls within that, in the sense that no Gambian or the commission or no Gambian want this thing to happen. So my presence here signifies that the commission is really interested in this. Of course, we are investigating issues, and we started with July 22nd, right? We've gone into November 11, and subsequently we will come into April 10 and 11. And here again, I want to urge the victims to register and testify, because we are investigating, and we can help to the best of our ability if they register. And also in terms of people to know the truth. people need to know what happened, these horrific stories. And I always say one thing, which is that young people have to be part of that process of the TRRC. And this is one way they can be part of the process, because the victims, most of the victims, most if not all, were young people. So for me, that's what my work focuses on, making sure that the TRRC is youth focused, it's youth sensitive, but also young people have to take ownership of the process. So I want to urge them to come out because we'll eventually get there. I'm not sure when, but we'll eventually get there. And when we do, I really would want to see them come out and testify, so that people can know about their stories and hear what has really happened to the horrible things that have happened to these young people.
Is this also, because you represent the youth constituency, is it also a reach out from you to say, well, you can come to the commission? I mean, and also by being with them on a day like this and encourage them to come to the commission?
Yes, for sure. Actually, even before this day, immediately I got my nomination. I made it a point of duty to meet young people to hear their concerns, so that I can bring it forward to the commission. And the first group I met, I remember meeting with Babukar Sambu and the other young people in the commission, was the victims of the April 10th, because I think they've been suffering for a long time, for 22, well, not 22, 23, but for a long time. I cannot really remember this place. But really, every young person and everybody, every Gambian who is a victim has to take part. And for me, they know I associate with them a lot. I talk to them a lot. In fact, despite the fact that I'm sent here by the commission, Abdul Karim himself invited me and said he wanted me to be present here. So I have that cordial relationship with these people. They are like brothers to me. And really, I want to assure them that whatever we do as a commission, since we are victim center, we will not do anything without taking into consideration their plight. Their issues will be addressed. I'll assure them.
But of course, even though it's not the responsibility of the TRRC to set up the actual medical bill, which is established by the Ministry of Justice in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, but of course on the recommendation of TRRC. It's also the responsibility of TRRC to ensure that people who are due to appear before it don't die of certain medical conditions that are preventable. And I'm sure perhaps the TRRC is also working and ensuring that some of these people are treated, some of these people who are still having bullets in their body or have medical conditions.
Yes, it really, it doesn't make sense to have a commission ongoing and people are dying when our duty is really to investigate that. And the TRRC has taken that really serious. I cannot even articulate how many times we have really discussed this issue of the medical condition of the victims. So what we have done is to set up a medical board, and we have collected the victims. I'm sure you're aware of this, who have health issues, health complications already. But again, it goes through a process, unfortunately. And what is happening is that we've sent them on medical treatment. Sorry, not treatment, but medical study, diagnosis. We send them. But what is happening is that we are waiting for the recommendations. The recommendations have not come. So that is what is really stalling our continuous engagement in terms of the treatment of the victims. But we take it seriously. Even for some of these victims, the TRRC has funded their treatment. I mean, this is not something that is known to the public, but really, we spend some money to send them to Dakar. So their transportation and everything was taken care of by the TRRC. Yes, we are, and obviously we have a lot of, but we take it seriously. Really, it's a concern to us. Sometimes it gives me personally some lot of sleepless nights. Really.
You're also constrained by resources, aren't you?
Yeah, in a way, and there are a lot of expectations from a lot of people. A lot of people think the TRRC has all the money, but obviously that would not be the case. But in terms of the resources we have, and I'm very happy, we are doing as best as we can to address this. And sometimes we get a lot of criticisms, but it's also part of the process. We welcome that. People criticize because it's a public process. Sometimes fairly, sometimes unfairly. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But that is all part of the process. And one of the criticisms that we get is that the issue that you've raised in terms of whether these victims would not die before we eventually hear their issues. And as I said, it worries us. But in terms of what is available, we are doing as best as we can, really. And I know, I hope the public really gets to understand that too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keba Nyabale, Usman Sabale, his parents are not still known, and he was also a victim. He was shot to death on April 10 and 11. These were the victims. And Musa Samben was also a victim, a son of Usman Samben, and the 14th victim is still not known. It was confirmed that 14 students were shot to death, but one of them is still not known. So this was the tragedy that took place on April 10 and 11 here in the Gambia. The country that we used to call the smiling coast of Africa, which later turned to the crying coast of West Africa.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.